Hi, Robert.
Hi, Ellen, behind the camera.
Hello.
Hello.
So, today we're going to read a bit about Gertie McDowell's chapter.
Yeah, we thought, well, you selected this bit. So, as you recall from the previous conversation, this is the infamous Gertie McDowell chapter. We're not going to read you the more infamous sections, although readers are welcome to read the chapter in English or in Mandarin if they want to. But in this section, Gertie is looking at Leopold Bloom. Always very interesting that Leopold Bloom is not somebody we think of as being a romantic hero, really. Leopold is a slightly sad and mocked character in many ways. And we only actually find out at the very end of Gertie's stream of consciousness, or mixture of stream of consciousness and narration, that it is Leopold Bloom. And I think it feels like a bit of a surprise or a joke on Joyce's part that this romantic, foreign-looking stranger is Leopold Bloom. But in this section, Gertie is observing him, observing her, and starts to imagine what kind of a man he might be.
Okay. Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's get started. So Gertie is with two girlfriends and their children. So we're starting in the middle, so that what Gertie is talking about, the children. Gertie wished to goodness they would take their squalling baby home out of that and not get on her nerves. No hour to be out. And the little brats of twins. Good example there that if I can just pause briefly, is that it feels like narration, but suddenly we have Gertie's voice, but there's no help with inverted commas or anything. It's all kind of pouring together in a very Joycean way. And these are phrases that are the phrases of young Irish women of the time. Get out of that. It's very colloquial language. Gertie wished to goodness they would take their squalling baby home out of that and not get on her nerves. No hour to be out, and the little brats of twins. She gazed out towards the distant sea. It was like the paintings that man used to do on the pavement, with all the coloured chalks, and such a pity too, leaving them there to be all blotted out. The evening and the clouds coming out, and the Bailey light on Howth, and to hear the music like that, and the perfume of those incense they burned in the church like a kind of waft. And while she gazed, her heart went pitter-pat. Yes, it was her he was looking at, and there was meaning in his look. His eyes burned into her, as though they would search her through and through, read her very soul. Wonderful eyes they were, superbly expressive. But could you trust them? People were so queer. She could see at once by his dark eyes and his pale, intellectual face that he was a foreigner. The image of the photo she had of Martin Harvey, the matinee idol, only for the moustache, which she preferred, because she wasn't stage-struck like Winnie Rippingham, that wanted they two always to dress the same on account of a play. But she could not see whether he had an aquiline nose or a slightly retroussé from where he was sitting. He was in deep mourning. She could see that. And the story of a haunting sorrow was written on his face. She would have given worlds to know what it was. She's not sort of wrong, of course. He is wearing mourning clothes because he's been to a funeral.
You mean Leopold Bloom?
Leopold Bloom, yeah, which is a clue, I suppose, as to who he is as well. And he is very, very sad about many things.
Not only about the funeral.
No, probably not about the funeral at all, about the betrayal of his wife and the death of his son. And
Cuckold.
yeah, the fact that he's been cuckolded. But also I think the death of his little boy and his father. I mean, Leopold Bloom has had considerable sadness in his life.
A very sad experience.
Very sad experience. But it's interesting that although Gertie's being slightly mocked for her kind of romantic creation of Leopold Bloom, she's also kind of right.
She's kind of right.
She's kind of right.
I thought it's her pure imagination.
No, I don't think it is pure imagination.
Okay.
He was in deep mourning, she could see that, and the story of a haunting sorrow was written on his face. She would have given worlds to know what it was. He was looking up so intently, so still, and he saw her kick the ball, and perhaps he could see the bright steel buckles of her shoes if she swung them like that thoughtfully with the toes down. She was glad something told her to put on the transparent stockings, thinking Reggie Wiley might be out, but that was far away. Here was that of which she had so often dreamed. It was he who mattered, and there was joy on her face because she wanted him, because she felt instinctively that he was like no one else. The very heart of the girl-woman went out to him, her dream husband, because she knew on an instant it was him. If he had suffered, more sinned against than sinning, or even if he had been himself a sinner, a wicked man, she cared not. Even if he was a Protestant or Methodist, she could convert him easily if he truly loved her. There were wounds that wanted healing with heart balm. She was a womanly woman, not like other flighty girls unfeminine he had known, those cyclists showing off what they hadn't got. And she just yearned to know all, to forgive all, if she could just make him fall in love with her, make him forget the memory of the past. Then mayhap he would embrace her gently, like a real man, crushing her soft body to him, and love her, his ownest girlie, for herself alone. Refuge of sinners, comfortress of the afflicted. So in a very kind of Joycean, very cinematic way, suddenly we cut to what's going on in the church.